Hi everybody, this is Beth from Skill Outfitters. We're here today for our lesson on place value, comparing, and ordering numbers. Make sure that you have everything you need to get ready. You'll need paper and pencil for taking notes, okay? You'll also need any of the printouts that you decided to print out, or you're going to need the book that we'll be using eventually for the assignments and for the quizzes, okay? So if everybody's ready, all right, go ahead and pause this until you get everything that you need, and when you're ready, let's go. Our number system is a very simple system that is set up on our counting, all right? So we have 10 digits in our particular number system. We have 0 through 9, all right? So everything in between, those are called our digits. And with our digits, what we do is we use those to count. Like for instance, on the screen here, you can see we have a little girl, all right? And if I were to tell you to count her, you'd be like, well, yeah, duh, we have 1, okay? If we bring in her twin, then I would say count them, and you would say, okay, fine, yeah, that's 2. And then we would continue on. We have 3, then we have 4, then we have 5, then we have 6, then we have 7, then we have 8, then we have 9, okay? Well, at that point, we have used 9 digits. The one that we haven't talked about is the 0. 0 is the digit that we use to indicate nothing, when something doesn't exist. So if I were to say, oh, look, over on the playground, and there's no children over there, and I asked you to count them, the number that you would use, the digit that you would use would be the 0, okay? Well, when we add one more child, we now know that you and I would say that we have 10, right? 10 kids. Well, how do we represent that with our digits, our symbols? Well, the way we represent that is with these two, right? Instead of using a 9, where we only have one digit, instead, as you can see, we have 2 digits that we're going to use. This first digit here, we're no longer using because we have run out. We don't have a 10 digit. We have a 9 digit, but we don't have a 10 digit. And so what we do then is we say, okay, let's take this group of 10, all right, and we are going to group them up. And we're going to group them up. And this group here now, we are going to call a group of 10. No longer do we talk about them being individuals. Now at this point, we're going to talk about them as a group of 10. All right? And the way we represent that then is we have to now go to that second digit. Our first digit is our units when we have individuals. Sometimes you also hear that called ones. But then other times then when we get above that 9, we got to go to that second digit. This one we're going to call tens. That location, we're going to call it a 10. And the reason we call it that is because of this over here. What did we do? We took that group of 10 and we grouped them together, and now we're no longer talking about them as individuals. Now we always refer to them in a group of 10. All right, and so then if we move on to the next thing, we're going to need the number 11, right? Well, the way we represent 11 is that we take that once again, we group the first group of 10 up, and that's our first digit. And then our second digit, remember that was called our units? Well, that's because we have one little girl left, okay? And so she is represented by that, and all of these guys are represented by that one, okay? So do you see how this all builds? If we have 12 kids, once again, we group that group of 10 up. We use the number 1, and then we use a 2 to represent these two little kids, right? And then you know what comes next. Well, that's right, we have 13. We group up the 10, and then we count the number of individuals. So one group of 10, 3 individuals. Well, eventually we were going to get to 19, right? Once again, we ran out of digits. When we add this last little kid, we then have to take these and group them into their groups of 10. So this group over here is one group of 10. This group over here is another group of 10. So how do we do that? Well, we call it a 20, right? A 20. We don't have any individuals, and we have two groups of 10. Well, eventually we're going to keep getting more and more and more kids, okay? At this point now, we have 9 groups of 10. Here's one group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Well, what happens when we get that 99? Okay, so we got the number 99. Let me write it down here so you guys can see it. The number 99, it means we have 9 groups of 10 and 9 individuals. Here's our 9 individuals. And all of this is our 9 groups of 10. Okay, well, we add that one additional kid. And guess what? We now need a brand new number. We're going to move to 3 digits in our number system. Once again, this one's going to be our units. This one here is going to be our tens. And our new one is going to be called the hundreds. And I'm running out of room. Okay. It would be our hundreds. This particular group of children, we would say that we have 100. In addition to that, because we've already counted, all of these have all been counted. They were here in this 1. We don't have any groups of 10, so we use a 0, and we don't have any individuals, so we use another 0 here to give us the number 100. Well, we can, from this point, we can just keep going, right? Well, we're going to jump way ahead. What happens if we get 900 and, well, once we get to 900, okay? We get to 900. Once we add another 100, guess what? We're out of room, right? If we add another 100, we're going to need to be able to combine these two. So guess what? We call this thousands. Sorry, I'm learning to use this little digital pen, and he's not working too good, mostly because I didn't write straight up and down. So I'm still figuring out how this works. All right, so let's try that again. Thousands. And that requires us to have 4 digits. Okay, 4 digits. So let's see here. Let me find my pen. We're down here. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? All right. It goes beyond that. We have done thousands at this point. So this group here we have taken and we have grouped them all up, and that entire group is all handled in this 1 digit, and it's because it's in the 4th place from the right. And when we have a 1 in this location, it means that we have 1,000. So using our number system, let's go ahead and go through here and count the number of students we have here. So over here we have a group of 1,000. Here it looks like we have a group of 100. Over here we have a group of 10, and then we have 1 individual. So 1 individual, 1 group of 10. Looks like we have more than 100 there, don't we? So we have, well, let's see here. Here's a group of 100. Here's a group of 100. And lastly, here's a group of 100. So that's 300. And then we had 1,000. So this is the way that we would set up 1,311. We need the 4 digits, okay? The first digit here for the singles, the second digit to hold the number of tens, the third digit to hold the number of hundreds, and the 4th digit to hold the number of thousands. Now, of course, this means that when we have a big group of something, like we have a big pile of marbles, that first of all, we're going to start off by grouping them up into groups of 10. Because then once we get 10 groups of 10, we can take that 10 groups of 10 and make a pile of 100. Once we get 10 groups of 100, then we have even a bigger pile, and we can call that thousands. Guess what? When we get to 10 groups of 1,000, what do you think we have? Well, we're going to have to add a 5th digit. And that fifth digit would be called 10 thousands. Because it makes sense, right? Because we have 10 thousands, 10 groups of 1,000, which makes 1 10,000. Okay. So this can be very confusing if we don't organize everything and come up with a way of organizing it. So our first thing here is we're going to use what's called a place value chart. And in a place value chart, what this has done is it's given us an organized fashion to be able to compare numbers. Remember, our second goal in this lesson was talk about how do we compare numbers, right? So in this particular one here, let me find it's up there. Okay. So let's see. Let's say we need to compare the number 3,000 with the number 4,000. Okay, 3,000 compared to 4,000. 3,000 compared to 4,000 means then we're going to look at the far left-hand column, because this is the largest groups right here. This is the largest groups. So which is more, 3 of those big groups or 4 of those big groups? Well, of course it's 4, right? And so that means this number here would be the largest. It doesn't matter what's in this part of the number, because no matter what, we only had 3,000s in this part of the number up here. Okay? All right. So sometimes we also then can compare even bigger numbers. Okay, so let's erase this. Get rid of all of that. Okay, and now let's compare some numbers that are even bigger. All right, so we're going to compare 13,030,300 total, compared to 1,004,000,000. Okay, so once again, we're going to come down here to to this very far left-hand column, and we're going to compare just the number of 10 millions that we have. This blue section right here is the millions. Okay, so once we have used up and we've got a bunch of 100,000s, once we have 10 of those, then we're going to call that group a million. And so that's the number that goes here. Once we have 10 groups of million, we call that group a 10 million. So to compare numbers, you look at these. These two are exactly the same, right? And so what that means is that we now have to go to the second column in the numbers to compare. Okay, the second column in the numbers there, we have a 3 and we have a 4. Okay, let me get rid of some of this stuff here. All right, we have the 3 and we have a 4. So we're going to need to take a look at this and do some comparison. Okay, our comparison then is, we've already looked at the millions. We know we have the same number of millions. So now, of 10 millions, now we're going to look at the number of millions. 3 million compared to 4 million. Well, once again, 3 is less than 4, so this number here is going to be our largest number. We do not need to even look at the rest of this. This stuff does not matter, because no matter what, I can never get as big as another million with this. All of these could be all at 9s, and that's still one too few to get me up to 5 million. Okay, then if I had one more, all these would turn to zeros because I've grouped all of it up. Okay, so use this place value chart as a tool. Write in your numbers. Always start at the right and work your way to the left. Okay, so if you were handed a number like 5,209, then you would put these in. All right, starting from the right and work your way to the left. And then the number you were going to compare it to, if it was 1, 0, 0, 0, it does not matter that all of these are less than all of these. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay. okay? Because none of this down here can give us the same thing that something in this column can give us, okay? All right, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at ordering numbers, all right? So, okay, so the last part of this lesson is all about ordering numbers, giving us a game plan so that we can get these numbers and figure out exactly the order they come in. Order is whenever you need to put things from smallest to largest or largest to smallest, okay? So here's our game plan. Remember I said always use that place value chart. If you look in the link for the lesson, you're going to find a PDF file there that you can download to your computer. You can print it off on a printer if you would like to. And then when you're needing to order numbers and compare them, you can use one of these charts to do that comparison, okay? All right, in this particular case here, we have 5 numbers. We have the number 15. We have the number 2,305. We also have the number 105. 325 and 25. And our job is to put these in order, okay? We're going to put these in order greatest to least, okay? Greatest to least. So we want our biggest number first. So what we're going to do is we're now going to compare these numbers using the chart. If you notice over here to the left, there are no numbers from the 1000s column over. From the 1000 column over right here, okay? There's nothing else this direction. Okay, so we don't need to even concern ourselves with the part of the chart that doesn't have anything in it. So the first thing we do need to concern ourselves with is the 1000. See right here we have ones, and it's in this little green section. That's because this is where we're going to call things thousands. Okay, so this is the 2000s column. So none of these other numbers have any thousands in them at all. So that means that this number here, 2305, has to be our absolute largest number, okay? So we're going to take that number and we're going to enter it in our second chart over here as the very first number, because this would be our greatest number. So now that we're done with that number, we can mark it out of our list. We're not interested in it anymore. So we're going to go to our next column, which is the 100s column right here, correct? All right, so whenever we look at that, we look at this column. Now we are comparing 1 to 3. Which one's bigger? Well, of course, 3 is always going to be bigger than 1. So a number that begins with 3 is going to be not bigger than a number that begins with 1, because there's 300 in this one and 100 in that one. So we're going to enter that into our chart next. And we're going to mark it out. All right. After we put in the other number, the 105. Because these two numbers here, all right, have to be bigger than this number and this number, because they had hundreds. These two numbers do not. All right. So now we're down to looking at the tens column. This number here, the 25, has 2 tens. This 15 has 1 10. Okay. So which one's bigger, 2 or 1? Well, 2 is bigger. So that's the one we're going to use. Okay. So we're going to enter that in. And that leaves us with just one more number, and that's the 15. All right, we've used those all up, and so guess what? Voila, we're done. We have put these in order. All of our numbers here have been used up, so we have absolutely no other numbers to do, and so we're all done. All right, so here we go. We have our list, and so now whenever we can go on to our problem that we've been given and enter in the numbers if this was a problem that we had been given. Okay, so this was the lesson on place value, comparing, and ordering numbers, okay? Re-listen to this lesson if you need to. If you are listening to this as part of my course, if you go into your course, you will find practice problems that you can do directly from a GED book that you can then listen to the problem explanation video if you would like to hear how every one of those problems were worked. Otherwise, you can practice the problems, check your answers, see how you're doing, okay? If you still have problems after that and you have joined my course, you can come to office hours. I also call them tutoring time, and you can find one of those tutoring times on my website at skilloutfitters.com. So go into the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, and you can find a link so that you too can join our little community of people getting ready for their GED. Okay? You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next lesson.